Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Living Astrology with Janet Hickox. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back and relax, and let's chat about what is going on up in the sky over our heads today. Today it is December 19th. We are literally less than a week away from Christmas. And lest you think I've forgotten you Canadians and UK and European Australians, you are a week away from Boxing Day, as our friend Tom Wright reminded me this morning after yesterday talking about the day after Christmas. He reminded me it's Boxing Day for a good chunk of the world. We here in the United States have no such holiday. For us, it's usually the frenzy of returning gifts and standing in long lines for refunds and all that kind of stuff going after Christmas sales. But for a good chunk of the world, it's also a holiday, Boxing Day. So we are less than a week away from a week away from Boxing Day and the excitement that Christmas brings. That leads us then to the new year. So here we are, we're winding down not only the year of 2019, but we are also winding down a decade. And in a way that makes me feel energized, but it also makes me feel a little like waxing philosophic a bit about all the things I've experienced, things I've left undone. If you go back 10 years and you see like what the dreams and the plans that you had what's left unfulfilled. So it can be both a wistful time, but also a time of looking forward with excitement and energy. So hopefully everybody is understanding the impact and the import of the times that we're in. And of course, I'm here to talk to you about keeping in alignment with the energies of the day through astrology, human design, the gene keys, and the Pleiadian-Earth energy astrology, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite things to talk about. So this morning, very early, the moon moved into the sign of Libra. So we are here today with energy about balancing and harmonizing and relationship focused. And so let's talk about then, what does the moon mean when she's transiting through the sign of Libra? First, the contact she's making today, she's in a trine. Moon is in a trine to Venus. Venus is the ruling planet of Libra, so there's a nice affinity going on between our emotional self, our soul self, and our energy of being in relationships. And then the moon is also a square to Jupiter today as well. Now, typically when I say the word square, you should think challenging, because that's what that 90-degree angle or square relationship means. But when we have the moon and Jupiter in a square, it's not so bad, right? It takes on a different characteristic than most of the kinds of squares that we talk about on a daily basis. We'll get into that in just a bit. Let's talk more now about what the moon in Libra brings to us. Of course, it rules everything to do with partnerships. So marriage, your relationships, your personal relationships, your business relationships. And so that brings up the energy of collaboration, cooperation, and co-creation, the 3 C's that I always think of with the moon in Libra, or any planet in Libra for that matter. And it also puts a spotlight a bit in your life on where you might be involved in a codependent relationship. And then the opportunity comes during this transit for you to balance that out, to see the inherent imbalance in that type of relationship, and to be able to bring it back into some form of harmony, releasing yourself from being in that codependent state. But by the way, when you release yourself, you're also releasing the other person. They choose then what they can do with that newfound freedom. Libra, being that it's ruled by the planet Venus, it takes us to the energy of beauty and harmony in the aesthetics that we have. So the way that energy flows, for example, like through feng shui, where you see how energy is a beautiful flow through a home or through an office. So art and design become more focused for us during a moon in Libra transit. And so we may be able to focus more on design concepts, on culture, There's a finesse that goes through the Libra energy, right? That's a more sophisticated energy when it comes to beauty and harmony of color and the aesthetics of something, the sophistication and the style of something. So for the next couple of days, maybe if you're in the process of decorating your house, you may be tweaking this and tweaking that, making it more pleasing to the eye and more of a sophisticated or elegant look to it. And then, of course, Libra energy always is about balance, weighing opposing views, trying to balance the scales of justice. Here in this country yesterday, of course, the president was impeached. That doesn't mean a whole lot. It seems like that's been so loud in our minds and our news for the last several months that, like, I was left going, okay, so, right? It's like, so we've been living it for so long that sometimes the impact, the final outcome of something just doesn't feel like much, except what it leaves us with is this more polarized feeling in the country. And then that creates a space for all of us, not only in this country, but around the world, to start to blend and harmonize opposing views. So how do we move forward from here? That's a big question. How do we move forward from here? Because the country still needs to be run. And we still have decisions that we have to make as a people and as a nation and as a world. So Libra energy gives us that opportunity to see these opposing views, not for being the opposite of one another, but for being the opposite side of the same coin, right? We're in the same boat here. And then that affords us the opportunity then to see things from a more tactful or diplomatic way, perhaps, a more, appealing to the mediators in all of us, being able to come to the table and be able to mediate, to find equality, to negotiate, and to be able to somehow harmonize these two disparate points of view. And that's a big deal. That's a big call. That's a big ask right now for the world in general. But literally, it is what is required in order for us to move on, both individually in your own personal relationships in the micro, but also on the macro, the bigger world stage. So we have some things we need to watch out for when we have the moon in Libra. One is about losing yourself in the confines of a relationship. In other words, giving too much of yourself away. So then that all of the giving comes from a deficit and not from your fullness. So we'll want to watch that. This is such an interesting energy to me because so many times life is really juicy and we want to take advantage of opportunities and we want to say yes. Unfortunately, with Libra energy, we could be saying yes to the wrong things. We can become a yes person, always saying yes to what everybody asks of us. And then we diffuse our energy, or we end up being sucked into living somebody else's truth and somebody else's life and not living our own. So if that's coming up for you, you can thank the moon in Libra for having you take a look at that and consider, what would you really love to say yes to and what would you really love to say no to? Because you do not have to say yes to everything. In fact, if you do, you are dispersing your, dispersing your energy. So then you don't have enough when the right thing comes along that you're meant to say yes to. Your energy is too diffuse and you're weaker or you're more tired or fatigued because you've spent all your energy on all of these things you said yes to or committed to. So it's a real problem in humanity. And some people in your human design, I did pull a human design chart today so I can show you where it is. The gate 29 on the sacral center. Heaven forbid, my wonderful gel pens are running out of ink. I need to get refills or get more. So here we go. You see that highlighted pink area? That's the gate 29 in your human design. Right now it's open. And it's open, and in my chart, for example, it's defined. So I always have the gate 29, but some of you may have it open, meaning it's white. Some of you may have it defined just at that gate and it's hanging. And others of you may have that entire channel defined, which, by the way, is the channel of commitment and saying yes. The gate 29 is literally the gate of saying yes, but saying yes is a function of being in the right place at the right time with the right opportunity and the right people. And it isn't something that you just blanket yes to. right? Because it's not the correct thing for everybody to do that. Then also with the moon in Libra, it brings us to indecisive energy, waffling, right? Because we can see so clearly, and because we're so easily able to weigh the benefits and the costs and that type of thing, it can create a sense of being indecisive. So we have a situation where we just say yes because, or we just say no because, without really weighing the consequences of our decision. So while we want to avoid waffling and indecision, sometimes it's best to know your human design authority so you know where it is that you correctly make decisions from. So for some of you, that's going to be the emotional center. For some of you, that's your intuition. For others, it's going to be your ego, your will center. It's different for each one of you. So knowing yourself is totally invaluable in this. And talking too much, I thought about this one as I'm going through all of the different things. Talking too much. Libra is an air sign. It does like to converse. It does like to share ideas and inspiration, but does it talk too much? That one I have to leave more to when we have something going on with Gemini. But there is the possibility that Libra energy, when it is indecisive, finds itself just talking as it's talking through, maybe verbally processing something, which could be perceived by others as talking too much. So up to you guys how you see that one. Let's say hello to people that are joining us. Good morning, Christine Erickson from Europe. Great to see you. Marjorie Roth. I like the little dancing Christmas tree, Christine. It's cute. Amy Moore, good morning. Mimi, good morning. Linda Dennis, good morning. Allison, good morning. Marissa, Kristen, good morning to you. Mimi says, yay, on Libra energy as I am actually applying feng shui to the house. Perfect. And I have several days of rearranging to do. Asa, good morning to you. Londa and Linda Marie, good morning. Colleen Jackson, good morning. And hey to you too, Londa. Jan, good morning. And Linda Marie says good morning. So it's great to see all of you out there. And again, if you have any questions or comments, you can go ahead and place those down here at the bottom or in the chat. I'm not sure how that shows up for you guys. Do you see the whole row of comments everybody's making like I do, or do you just see what you could say or what you write? I'm not sure how that shows up for you. Now, let's talk about the transits that the moon is making today. What connections is she making? I told you she was going to be in a trine to Venus, so she's moving in a very positive respect to the planet that rules the sign she's in. So we have this nice affinity between Venus and the moon. It feels very good. It's about enjoying the good things in life, right? The creature comforts, the good food, the ambient atmosphere, candles and lighting and all the good things, right? Food, fun, laughter. We have a connection to all of that when we have a trine going on with the moon in Libra and trine to Venus. So it's a great time to decorate, to redecorate, to feng shui, to communicate with others, to enjoy life. Now, on the negative side, maybe it provokes a bit of a lazy streak within us where we just sort of feel like, not doing much. Indulge, right? This is a short-term sort of transit. It's over in a few hours today. So enjoy it while we got it. And then move on, right? Go on to the next project or the next thing. We have other energies today that are forming a more stable expression. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's take on the square from the moon to Jupiter, which is really another good feeling, right? The only danger ever here is over expansion or over expansiveness, doing too much, overindulging. So as long as you are careful about what you're doing there, you're still in good shape. This is positive vibes, good feelings, goodwill toward men, right? This is that really good feeling kind of connection. It's magnanimous and generous with its time and its energy and its resources. So we have some really good moon energies today. On the more negative side of a square from the moon to Jupiter, we have self-righteousness and a smugness that can happen when you are getting up on your soapbox and holding true to your own ideals and your own beliefs without taking into consideration that there are a whole field of beliefs and considerations that we could be tapping into. All right. Let's see. Linda says, first of all, good morning, Michelle Hawley. Great to see you. I recognize your name, but I'm not sure why. Linda Marie says, I have lots of planets in Libra. Welcome to the club. And Marjorie, good morning from Virginia. Simple and easy to understand the Libra aspects. Thanks so much. I definitely talk too much as a Libra, but I thought because my Mercury was MR, Mercury retrograde, I'm not sure. I'm actually cleaning today. We'll call it beautifying, Marjorie. How's that? Rather than cleaning, which sounds like drudgery, we're beautifying. We're aesthetically pleasing our homes, are creating an aesthetically pleasing atmosphere in our homes. And Allison, we see all the comments. Oh, good. So you guys can chat with one another, etc. I love that. Mimi, seeing you and the comments as well. Thank you, thank you. And Kathy Miller, good morning to you. All right, so I'm so glad. I don't really think about that because I know I'm seeing it. I didn't think about whether you were seeing it or not, so that makes me kind of excited. And then also explains why sometimes when we're saying happy birthday or sending healing energy, I see comments personally going out to other people. Perfect. Marjorie says, love beautifying. Yes, I'm really good at repositioning things. So let's beautify the environment. Let's beautify our homes. Who cares about the cleaning? We're beautifying. Okay, let's go to the transits that are occurring today that are outside of the moon's transit. So we have two biggies today. Mars in a sextile to Saturn. Mars, the planet of action and going forward and dynamic motion, and Saturn, the planet of creating a stable foundation, staying dutiful, and being response able. And then the second transit we have going on today is Mercury squaring Neptune. Now, these two are sort of divergent energies. One creates a more down-to-earth approach, more deliberate, and the other one is about pie in the sky, imagination, and sort of the spiritual, lighter energy. So we'll have to merge these two in some way within us, as in part of the day maybe you're kind of in la land, while the other part of the day you're down to business and getting ready to make decisions and do things. So let's look first at the Mars sextile Saturn, because Mars sextile Saturn is about careful planning and the execution of the plan. So Mars, which we know is of action, takes on more deliberate action when he meets up with the planet Saturn. And this is not high energy where Mars is like just thrusting himself out there or forcing himself out in the world. This is more enduring energy, more perseverant energy that is popping up for us today. We have good attention to detail on a day like today. And as well, we are more reality-based, more practical, more pragmatic, and that reality and that practicality is more favored now. So the actions that we do take today have to find a purpose, have to have a reason, right? It's not so willy-nilly. It is much more planned. And then from the plan, executable, right? We can do it. So we have discipline, we have more patience than usual, which is a good thing because the next week of energies are going to test our patience and test our resolve to be in the energies of love. Be sure to answer your own needs during a transit like this. Don't get the hangries, in other words. So what I'm talking about is we get so involved in things that are happening or things that are going on in our lives, the plan and executing the plan, we forget that we need to eat. We forget to go to the bathroom. We forget that we have to take care of our own selves. Get up, move, exercise, move your body a bit. Or if you're moving your body too much, sit down and rest. So remember to factor your own self in on everything that you do today and for the next day or so, because this is a longer bit of a transit. It's not like weeks long. It's like a couple of days long. Okay. The other half of the equation, Mercury squaring Neptune, mind and speech confusion. So form your words carefully from your thoughts, from focused thoughts, and not just speaking from a place of unconsciousness. Watch out for over-idealizing people or opportunities or situations, right? So if it feels like pie in the sky, likely it is pie in the sky, and maybe you should hold on taking any action toward that until you have more clarity, until there's less daydreaming energy out there, because today's a bit of a daydreaming day, later in the day in particular, and where we likely won't see the truth in the real truth. We might see distortions of the truth, like when somebody else is trying to convince you of something and you get that feeling like something's just not right, but I can't put my finger on it. So that kind of feeling to the day as well, which means that if you're in a business situation today, be careful in negotiations or in your business dealings, as people may not be totally forthcoming in what they're telling you, or there could be misrepresentation, misunderstandings, or mistaken motivations from your own self. Maybe you're so excited to be able to feel like you're moving forward that you say yes to something only to find out later that you had it idealized in your mind and that it wasn't really anything of truth, or there was a delusion there, right? That we so badly wanted to see the high side that we let go the red flags that might have been warning us about that opportunity or about that person. So stay clear. Try not to make big decisions maybe today, right? Don't make big major changes in your life on a day where Mercury and Neptune are not clear with one another. Delusions and wild ideas for fun, but don't take action on them, right? Think of the wildest, craziest dreams, you know, the big pie in the sky things that you might want to do, but just don't take action on them. Dream them. Right? Keep dreaming about them, but don't take action on them yet. But today, with Mercury squaring Neptune, the end of the day or later part of the day will be really good for us to be spiritually engaged in a form of study or in meditation or yoga or some other, your favorite spiritual pursuit. So good later in the day for that kind of stuff, maybe more so than being on guard in your business or having to make big decisions on the bigger things in your life, right? Do the small stuff today. Okay, another check here to see nothing coming up. Marjorie, Kathy, good morning, can't stay, lots to do. Kathy, honey, you always say that. It's like your mantra. I got lots to do. Jan, I can only see the comments if I watch live. Oh, good point, Jan. Thank you. And Londa says, hello, Virginia. There is a Santa Claus. Yay, there is a Santa Claus. Now, later in the day, and we're going to actually talk more about this tomorrow because I want to get into the Pleiadian-Earth energy of the day. Venus, late this evening, my time, 10:42 p.m. So tomorrow morning for you in the East at 1:42 in the morning, Venus moves out of Capricorn, leaving the pack and making herself a little bit different as she moves into the sign of Aquarius. And Venus in Aquarius starts she's sort of the precursor. We get a taste, maybe just a little bit of a taste of what might happen as we move through some of the more difficult energies coming up in 2020, as in Jupiter and Saturn will be conjunct at 0 degrees of Aquarius next winter solstice. So Venus being there at this winter solstice kind of gives us an in, right? What might we see in the world? What might we be, what might be the handwriting on the wall, right? What might we be seeing? So be watchful, I say, today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Tomorrow's Friday. Yes, it is. Wow, the weeks fly by. So be very watchful about what's going on in your own personal life. What are we seeing in the outer world? And, what's new? What's cutting edge? What is exciting to think about? This morning there was I think it was on the Good News Network. Hold on, let me see if I can check it on my phone. because I don't want to change the screen here. And no, I don't want Google. I want Gmail. There we go. And what was it? It caught my eye. Scientists develop exciting new, hold on. Scientists develop exciting new way to produce hydrogen fuel that's safe, cheap, and ultra efficient. Jaw drop, right? Mic drop. That's huge. So we may see cutting edge things like that, news coming up, things that are more resourceful, or things that make our life easier, or things that are more supportive of relationships and things like that. So watch for that over the next couple of days. It could be the harbingers of things to come, which is kind of exciting, I think, to be able to see something like that. Londa says, I watched a documentary on Saturn. So in the Saturn atmosphere, its gases make diamonds, and as it goes into the rings, it melts. I love the idea. Wondering if someday they create something to harness the diamonds, shine like a diamond. Yeah, that would be the awesome high side of it, but the low side of it is how then we begin to rape the resources of other planets for those kinds of things, which is exactly, plans are already to make space missions to asteroids, mining the materials on those asteroids that we use here on Earth. So I don't know, that could be great as it opens up a new source of these, more rare minerals, but does that create, unintended drawbacks? There's always something, right, like that we have to work through. The good, the high, and the bad, and the low. So we'll see what happens with that. The other thing that is interesting on Saturn, I believe it is, at one of its poles, and I want to say it's its north pole, it forms a hexagon. And the energy or the gases, the way they line up somehow creates that hexagon look. And I thought that was really fascinating about Saturn as well. So there's some really cool things about our planets out there. All you have to do, pick one, go dig deep and see what you can find out about it. For example, Venus, the planet of love and beauty and everything that we think of as good relationships and lovely beautifying something, is literally the hottest planet of our solar system, much hotter even than Mercury is. She burns so hot that we could never even possibly think of living there. Besides that, she's fully engaged with greenhouse gases that envelop her. So she's a really cautionary tale about runaway greenhouse warming, right? What can happen to Earth if we aren't careful about creating greenhouse gases, because that's exactly what's happened to the planet Venus, runaway greenhouse warming. So take the time, go look, go see. So now let's look at the Pleiadian-Earth energy for the day. Today's a 10 healing day, and healing energy was Ish in the Mayan calendar. Ish was the jaguar or the shaman. It's a very high spiritual energy, the priest energy or priestess energy. And the 10 is the energy of manifesting. It is the universal energy, which means whatever life form you are, whatever planet you're on, you are resonant with the energy of physical manifesting. So here, this particular time, it forms a check-in spot for how we're doing in terms of manifesting by our intentions. And I thought today what I would do, instead of talking about this, I would actually read from the Pleiadian-Earth Energy Astrology book. By the way, here's the book. And I would say any of you interested in astrology could read this book, right? This is not one of those books that you have to be an astrologer to understand. Pleiadian-Earth Energy Astrology, Charting the Spirals of Consciousness by Pia Orlean and Colin Baird Smith. Also with Larkma, who is the group of entities that she channels from the Pleiades. Okay, so, oops, I even marked this page. So here's what I wanted to read, and this is about the number 10, the energy of manifestation. So it says, the 10th energy lets us know how we are progressing on the spiral of consciousness. If we set intentions for the highest good as we initiated the new cycle in one energy, shared other perspectives cooperatively in the energy of 2, allowed the addition of new creative thought in the energy of 3, affirmed the foundation for our intentions in the energy of 4, self-corrected our journey in the energy of 5, managed to flow through or around obstacles rather than allowing them to deter us with the 6 energy, merged with expanded possibilities in 7, connected deeply with one another in 8 energy, and attained harmony in 9, the energy of 10 offers us a chance to manifest in the physical what we intended at the beginning of the cycle that was initiated with the 1 energy. Unfortunately, most humans, even those who believe themselves to be awake and aware, still don't understand this flow. And those who may know about these cycles usually don't consistently follow this flow because of interference from artificial time, dysfunctional beliefs, and selfish separating behaviors. When choices are made from this false perspective of life, the energy of 10 can be exceedingly challenging. It will feel like chaos. We may wonder how we ever arrived at the state we are experiencing. This is the state of humanity today, confused, inconsistent, and unbalanced. A 10-day in our current paradigm can often feel confusing or disorienting. Challenges may arrive at every turn. The current structure of the 3rd dimension is based on separation, competition, greed, and fear. There's very little mindfulness for what we are collectively creating through our thoughts, beliefs, and actions. Is it any wonder our world is so troubled? Profound. I mean, this book was written a couple of years ago, so it doesn't even, just profound, right? So take the opportunity with this energy of 10 today to check in with yourself and see, are you in alignment with that progression that I read to you there, from the 1 and the energy of initiating to the 2 of the separating of duality, and the 3 bringing, entertaining new creative possibilities, and etc. Checking in with that. Now, healing energy, on the other hand, is about bringing spirit and matter together, spirit and form together. It always reminds me of the cross, right? The cross isn't a religious icon, or isn't just a religious icon. In its first edition, it was a regular cross, like a crossroad, like the plus sign that represented the coming down of spirit to earth, and the human that is crossing through or embodying both spirit and form. So that's a day today, right? Healing energy reminds us we are both spirit and form, and that we should not be feeling any kind of separation in that within us. That we can move between the mystical realm and the 3D world as easily as breathing. And that's who we are. We tap in, we bring into the physical. We tap in again, and we move it through the physical. So we have great opportunities for healing energy today, but only by disconnecting from that dysfunctional beliefs and the dysfunctional things that we've created in our lives, the patterns that we have created in our lives. So we see a coherence today between the 10 and those dysfunctional beliefs and patterns that have been ingrained in us when we don't follow the spiral of consciousness, and how it can affect whether or not we can heal. Healing, whether we can heal ourselves or healing others. In fact, it very clearly states here in this healing energy that how can we possibly even entertain the thought of healing others when we can't heal our own selves? So first we have to harmonize those imbalances within us, right? Within us. Then we can offer to others the healing that we can so generously give. Right? But first, it's why a lot of time, most of you guys who are healers out there, I'm sure, go through some form of ritual or meditation before you work with a client, so that you're clearing out your space and your ego energy so that you can take in the energy for healing the person you're with. So we're integrating all of our wounds from the past and past lives even, and all of the wounds from the present, for the healing of ourselves and then also the planet. Why? So that we can become the way showers, right? So we can be the model, the role models to others in the world about how to do this, how to bring healing to the planet. Okay, well, that is it for me this morning. Let's see if there are comments back here. Psychosis isn't solved by more psychosis. We need creativity to evolve from psychosis. Definitely, it would be a drawback. So interesting conversation that Londa and I had yesterday about the gate 61 psychosis. And we were talking about lots of things. Like, Londa is one of my favorite people to talk to bounce off ideas. And we were chatting about this energy of Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter eventually, and others, that are moving through this gate of psychosis through 2020. And what would that mean for us on the planet? Because when we go from psychosis, we elevate ourselves ultimately up to sanctity, right? Inspiration, inspiritedness is the gift, but sanctity is the highest expression. And I thought, and she thought, wouldn't it be interesting if we had some way to really entertain the idea of moving out of psychosis? Because we cannot, as she says here, solve psychosis from inside the psychosis. It's like, Einstein, you can't solve a problem from the level in which it was created. And psychosis is literally created in the mind. And we know enough about that now to be able to move from that, but that hasn't really clicked with us yet. So I threw it out there yesterday to the Academy members that maybe we would form some kind of a study group to take in the gene keys that are being triggered as we move through 2020 and do a deep dive for ourselves and also for what it means on the planet, to entertain the possibility of moving out of the shadow and into the gift at least. And if not the gift, maybe reaching even up to the siddhi in each one of these gates or these gene keys. So I'm still working with that in my mind, and I don't think I want to leave it just to the membership because I think it's important for everybody, but I'm not sure how that's going to work yet. But it will be one of the things that we focus on beginning in January, is taking that dive into the gene keys. If you haven't noticed, I've already been talking more about the gene keys in our morning broadcasts, but now I think it's time to really embody those gene keys. And I did make a commitment when I became an ambassador to really work with the 11, the 22, and the 55. And even though those energies aren't major players in 2020, they really are foundational energies. They represent the light, they represent grace, and they represent abundance. And so they're really good energies to have as the complement to things like psychosis. Some of the chaotic energies and the turbulent energies that we'll experience through 2020. So be watching for that. Debbie Hedden, good morning. And I'm sorry you're joining just as I'm getting ready to leave. So I'm done. And this is like the reason we have a nice, easy week. I have an opportunity to duck out early. However, I am more than willing to stay if someone has a question that they would like me to answer, a problem in their chart, something that they've always wanted to know. This is your opportunity. I will wait for a couple of moments here to let you formulate questions or put them forth to me there in the comment stream. So all in all then, today really looks like a day of balancing your inner dynamic, your spiritual energy with the energy of the physical realm. So really anchoring your true self to your 3D self, and being able to see that you're so much more than who you believe yourself to be, right? Taking responsibility for your condition, for the things that are showing up in your world, letting go and letting God. Let's say that, right? Okay. I don't see any questions popping up. You guys are all good this morning, right? Or you're in that Mars or the Mercury Neptune space already. I kind of feel like I'm there too. I have a lot of things going on through my mind. So remember yesterday I shared with you my dream that I had, the sort of psychic impression of what is happening, something, to do with where I live or the state that I live in. So this morning, I check the weather usually every morning, but for the last couple of days, I haven't had time to really check it. So this morning I realized that there's this atmospheric river, they call it. We also call it a pineapple express here, that is aimed right at Washington. And this morning, as I opened up my weather app and I hit on the radar, it looked like a hammer that was nailing Seattle. And, Washington State, Oregon's also going to be involved, and probably Northern California and even Southern California at some point, the whole West Coast. But the hammerhead was right on Washington later on this afternoon. So I thought about my dream, and it made me get a little bit of a shiver. Are we looking at some flooding and that kind of experience? Debbie provided birthday goodies for my grandson's pre-K class this morning. Is it his birthday? If so, happy birthday to your grandson. Great day for him. We could look at his chart. We'd see, what the things we were talking about this morning. The moon coming back in Libra for him, building relationships as his year goes on. Mars sextile Saturn, really putting some muscle behind the things he's doing to build himself for the future. Mercury square Neptune, watch for maybe some spiritual development in him in the coming year, because all of those things would be prominent in his solar return themes that would be developing for him as the year goes on. So unless, of course, his birthday isn't today, but I bet it is. Okay, guys. Well, I don't see any other questions. I will see you tomorrow morning. We'll take a look at not only today, or not only Friday, but Saturday and Sunday. And I will see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Pacific, right here on the Living Astrology Facebook page. Take care. Bye for now.